Okay, I'm live. I'm a little early. I'm only like 5 minutes. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start. So tonight is about this is story time about why I have been MIA, where I have been, what's been going on, so on and so forth. And I got to get you caught up because one of the last times I was here, I talked about when I went vegan. And so I'm going to start there. So I went vegan. I'm just getting to the point because I want to get this out. And this is going to be like a little therapy session for me at the same time. So I went vegan and it was going good. At least I thought it was. But the more and more I stopped eating meat, I stopped eating fish, I stopped eating chicken, and I was steadily gaining weight. I didn't understand why I was gaining weight. And then I started looking at the back of, the packages like the vegan meats, and they had a lot of starch in them, had a lot of starch, a lot of carbs. So I decided last July well, actually in June, I decided that I was going to stop. I just, well, mm, I decided I was going to start back eating meat again. So I got on a scale, went to the doctor, got on a scale. I had gained so much weight from the time I retired until, let's say last year. I was in shock, like, what? So I immediately said, you know what? I'm going to try keto. I'm going to try this for a minute. And I did. And I stuck to it. But it was keto with a twist. So I had a deviated septum surgery last June. And I started once my nose healed enough where I could breathe. That's when in July I started my pretty much keto slash low carb, and it actually worked for me. So I started in July. July the 5th, I lost the first month. I didn't lose that much weight. The second month, I lost 13 pounds. And then from there, it's been steady. Up until today, I have lost, drum roll, I've lost 51 pounds. And hold up. Okay, he's coming in. So I lost 51 pounds and I went down to like a 12, 10-ish size. So I was working out, doing everything I was supposed to do. Now let's go to October. So I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. I don't call him my stepson. I call him my son. So my son and I would go to the gym. We would work out. He was he just stayed on me and he still does to this day. So around October, the end of October, I got a text that my father was in the hospital. I didn't even know who it was texting me, but I got this text. It said, "I'm live. Mm-mm. Don't talk." So I got this text, and it said that that my father was in the hospital. I didn't even know who it was from. So afterwards, um, I called the number, and I said, "Dad, what's going on?" He said, "Yeah, I'm in the hospital. Um, they said I was sick." And I'm like, he didn't want to tell me exactly what it was. Who is they? I'm like, who is they? What is going on? So then he tells me, he said that, they said I have prostate cancer. I said, what? So it was last minute. I knew that flights were going to be through the roof. So I got in my car and I drove from the DMV to Ohio. because that's where my dad lives. He's from Pennsylvania, but he moved to Ohio. The part that he was in, was only 2 hours away from his hometown of where he was in Pennsylvania. So I go up there. He's in the hospital, and I'm like, "What is going on?" So we're just sitting there talking. I hugged him and all of that good stuff, and I was like, "Well, where's the doctor?" So I go and I find someone finally, the doctor finally came, they paged him, and he was on a cancer ward. So when I go into the doctor, he said, "Would you like to talk?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to know what is going on." So we go, he said, "Well, let's go into this room." And I'm like, "Why are we going into a room and not with my dad?" And I just felt like something right there, something wasn't right. I said, "Something isn't right." Wait a minute, hold on. Okay. So he pulls me into the room and he says, "Your father has terminal cancer." And I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, he has terminal cancer. You didn't know?" I said, "No, I just drove up here. I just drove 7 hours." And mind you, it didn't feel like 7 hours. I was speeding, of course. So he said, "Yeah, he has prostate cancer and it went to his liver." And I'm like, "What?" I'm just like, just in shock. Like, what is going on? You know, just confused about everything. So I said, "Okay, um, well, what's the next step?" And I was told that there is no next step simply because of his age. My father was 88 years old, and they said if they gave him chemo, they couldn't give him a pill because it's progressed so much. It was all throughout his liver. Now, had it been prostate, that could have been resolved, but the liver, it was just no way. And he said he has pretty much days to live. This was in the end of October. So I'm just in there in shock. Didn't know. I was just in shock. I just couldn't believe what I had just heard. Um, just thinking about it, now I'm just, even still, I'm just sitting here in shock, like, wow, he never complained, but he never complained about being in pain. He never said, "I have a nagging pain." Every day that we would talk, I would say, "How you feeling, Dad?" And he'd be like, "Wonderful, wonderful." And I was like, "Okay." Um, so after that, I go back in and I'm like, I didn't want to talk to him about it, because, what do you say? So we talked about different things. I said, "Dad, um, I need to," because I had been meaning to go up there because we had talked about me being his power of attorney, because it's five of us. But to be honest, my oldest sister passed away some years ago. And then honestly, the next, it's actually six of us. Then the next one, no, I'm sorry, it's seven. I'll get to that. I'll get to that. So, um, the next one, the most dependable, honestly, would be me. So I was like, okay. Um, so I asked for the paperwork and they were just dancing. The nurses were like, "Oh, well, I don't know." And I'm like, here we go again. What is going on? So they were like, "Well, I think someone else." I said, "Who is the someone else that is his power of attorney? It should only be one power of attorney, which should be me. We had already discussed this, like months and months prior. So I learned then that I had another brother. My get this. So my father went to the military first before he went to Central State in Ohio, where he met my mother in college. So, whew, this is a lot. I'm trying to make this story quick. So, he during the time while he was in the military, when he first went in, there was a woman that he had not necessarily dated, but had an affair with, and he went away in the military. He went overseas. Come to find out, she didn't know who her son was by. And the more and more he grew up, she knew it was by my father. But she said that she didn't know how to get in touch with my father. So while I'm at the hospital, I found out I had another brother who is much older than me. He is closer to, I guess he's like in his 60s, mid 60s, something like that. But he's the oldest anyway. So I'm like, okay, well, what does that have to do anything? And I was told, well, he's your father's power of attorney. I said, wait, what? So I'm literally learning all of this. It's just at one time. I'm like, this can't be real. This It can't be. It can't. This cannot be happening. So I said, Dad, did you know that this person, I'm not gonna call names, was your power of attorney? I said, I don't have an issue with meeting him or anything. I said, but you don't know him. He said, well, yeah, my I my he came up here, and I guess my sisters told him that he needed to sign to be my power of attorney. And I'm like, Dad, mind you, my dad is 88 years old. At that age, you don't want confrontational. No, the old him, he wasn't anything like that. He was just like, okay, I guess when you learn that you have terminal cancer, of course you're not going to be thinking straight. And I understand that. And I'm like, but again, I'm like, Dad, you don't know him. I said, when did you meet him? He said, well, he came around 3 weeks ago. I said, 3 weeks ago. So I'm still in shock. Like, this cannot be happening. This isn't real. This isn't right. What is going on? So I'm just I'm like, again, I'm still in to this very day, I am in shock. So, but I mean, okay, I'll get to the end of that. It's That's closer to the end. So I said, where is he? Mind you, he didn't come up to the hospital while I was there. So I'm like, well, if he's your power of attorney, what he should be here. Shouldn't he want to meet me? I'm his sister. I'm just finding out I have a sister. I mean, have a brother, another brother, and he's not here. Well, he lived in another part of Pennsylvania. He used to drive 2 hours up there to see my dad, and then he would go home. Hey, TC. Then he would go home. Hold up, TC. I need to do this. Wait a minute. Da, 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 da. I could have sworn I did this. Wait a minute. I'm gonna fix this. I think I gotta go into the studio. I could have sworn that I did this. But thank you. I'll fix it when I finish this. So if you can, I know you gotta go. So that's fine. Just thanks for coming through for support. But I'm telling this story for a reason. You know what happened, but And you know the reason why I'm telling the story. So it's I want people to get something out of it. It's a reason why I'm telling it. So after after that, they said, well, um, Miss Such and Such talking to me, we're going to transfer your father. He was in Cleveland Medical. They transferred him to where he lived at. It was McGregor Estates. Mind you, it was upscale living for seniors. It was thousands and thousands of seniors. It looked like you were walking into a like a lodge, like if you've been to Great Wolf Lodge, but upscale, more upscale. So he goes, they try in his apartment was in one part of the community, and they had this senior living facility had an extended, pretty much like an extended stay for people in hospice, meaning you didn't have to be dying. You could have been diagnosed with something but not necessarily dying, and you were just getting 24/7 round the clock care. So they transferred him to hospice. I drove. I'm going to call his girlfriend Miss Lady. So I said, Miss Lady, I'm sorry if I came off like this, but this is a lot. I'm learning that someone came in. I said, I got a text, not a call, but a text that my father was in the hospital. I asked who it was. They didn't even respond. And I said, and then this. And so we get over to hospice, we're talking, people were coming in. um Miss Lady, her one of her sons and his wife came. So we're just there. I was tired from the drive because I had gotten up and I drove straight up nonstop. I'm used to highway driving, but I made a stop one time to get gas, and that was it. And that was it. So we get in there and we're talking. I said, Dad, you seem to be very comfortable. And mind you, I was so upset. I still was very, very much upset um that I was not that someone who I did just found out about today, that day, was his power of attorney that he didn't even know. And I couldn't believe it. So I said, Dad, I'm going to leave tomorrow. He was like, um, I'm just going to say D, because you all know me as D. He was like, D, you don't have to leave. And I'm like, Dad, I'm just really like, it just brings back bad memories. Your sisters, I said, they're always in our family business. I said, I cannot take it. I don't. And I was being selfish. I was being spoiled, being a spoiled brat. But I did end up staying. I didn't go anywhere. I was just upset, but I got over it. So we got back to hospice. I gave him a kiss goodnight. I said, I'll be back in the morning. So I went to Miss Lady's apartment and I stayed with her. I slept. I was so tired. I just slept and slept. But I did get up about 9. We got up about 9. I showered. They have restaurants in there. I was very impressed by it. So we went, we got breakfast, and then we went over to see Dad. And while we were there, people were coming in and out because news had spread that he had terminal cancer. And so I was like, wow. When I say I didn't even, I guess I was still in shock. The stress But the stress hit me as soon as I found out that not that he had prostate cancer, but that it had traveled to the liver. So it started, I just felt all of this tension, in my body because I was just so stressed. But I didn't let him see that. I didn't let him see me upset, none of that. So I went back over there. I stayed until uh about about 1:30, and then I said I'm going to drive back home, and I'll be up back up this week. And I had been driving up until he passed. He passed June the 11th. I'm sorry. Oh Lord, forgive me. January the 11th of this year. So, but in between that, I found out that the brother that I found out I had, come to find out, my messy aunts and cousins, they knew about him. They were taking pictures with him. I mean, they knew he had been around them for like a year. And I'm like, and I learned this from him. He and I finally talked. First, I asked him, at first, I told him he had no right to be his power of attorney. You don't know him. You're just getting to know him. And I said, you leave that to the children that have been there. I said, it's just not right. And so, and that was on the way back. Um, Also, and like I said, I talked to him on the way back home. But before I left, I said, Dad, I love you. It's okay. Everything is gonna be okay. I'm not upset. He was like, I don't want you to be upset with me. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not upset. I promise you, I am not upset. So, but deep inside, I wasn't upset with him. That's my dad. I love my daddy. But his sisters, them messy. I don't think I've cussed one time, but it's coming. So on my way home, it is thundering and raining. And I said, Lord, happy Black History Month, hon. So I said, Lord, let me make this call. So I called my aunt. I, when I say I was respectful as I could be, but I couldn't stop. It was coming out. It was like, I just couldn't hold back. I said, so you all knew that we had a brother and it didn't dawn on you all to call and say anything to us? So she was like, well, he came around. I said, no. He contacted you. He found out about you through ancestry.com. You all knew about him a year prior. You did not give him dad's address. I said, you didn't give him any information until 3 weeks ago. And you didn't give him any information on his siblings. So I'm like, how dare you? And then she was like, well, uh D, we didn't mean any harm. I said it's no different than how we grew up when we were living here. I said, you all have always treated us like we are outcasts, all because you didn't like our mother. Come to find out, in this I made it back home. It's a 7-hour trip. I made it home in almost 6 hours. I was booking, baby. From Ohio, I was on that turnpike. TC, I'm sure you know about that turnpike. I was going through that Allegheny tunnel. I hate that tunnel. Driving through that mountain like it wasn't nothing. I lit into her and her daughter, my other aunt, all of them. And mind you, my younger sister was on the phone. And so we're only like 3 years apart. But my other sister, I didn't give her a chance to speak. When she would start talking, I'd be like, I got this. I got this. I read them in a respectful way from A to Z, from Z to A, back and forth, up and down, sideways. For years, since we were children, we have always been treated differently. It came out in this 6-hour trip. I was told, well, to be honest with you, yes, there was tension. I said, we always caught you talking about our mother, talking about her complexion. They used to say back in the 70s, high yellow heifer. She was a high yellow heifer. Now, that aunt was a teacher. The other aunt was a nurse, full blown nurse. All the siblings, my father and his siblings went to college. I even found out that the aunt I was talking to used my father's GI Bill to go to college. When I tell you, I found so much out through that 6 hours. She wasn't ready for me. She wasn't ready because had I been in her presence and I saw her daughter, now the cussing is coming in. I would have smacked the dog shit out of her ass. Yes, I would have. And I'm gonna get to that heifer in a minute. I was told, well, your mother, uh, we felt as though she flaunted her complexion in front of us. I said, what? What you mean? Well, that and the fact that she came from money. Her parents bought her a car. I said, her parents back then owned businesses like your parents could have done. I said, how you gonna judge her? Well, she was an only child and she had this and she had that. I said, what difference does it make? But you took how you felt about her out on us. And I said, I got all of it because I look just like her. I got the temper of my father, his old temper, but I look like her. So you all treated me because of my complexion and my looks. I had freckles like my mama, like dirt because of my mother, because you were jealous? Well, if that's what you want to call it, D, I said, no, I'm calling it what it is. You were jealous. You were jealous. And then my sister tries to butt in. I'm like, no, I got this. How dare you? I said, now let's get to your daughter. I said, who in the fuck does she think she is? That's my father. Oh, this is what I found out before. Now, mind you, while I'm en route up there, I got a call from one of my cousins, right? Majority of my cousins, I don't know why. Y'all know I was law enforcement. They were teachers. Everybody was either a teacher or nurse. No, my daddy's kids, we did what we wanted to do. We became what we wanted to do. We didn't follow behind anybody. We led our own path. We were leaders. We weren't followers and still aren't. At least some of us. But anyway, I'll get to that too. Because I'm on a roll today. I'm letting it all out. I just want to let it out. So that I found out, I got a call. Well, um, they have a policy on your father. I said, you've got to be kidding me. So one cousin, Robin, says, oh, I got to come out of retirement for this. Talking about from my father. And I'm like, huh? So when I'm on the phone with my aunt, I'm like, what right does your daughter have to feel that she can handle my father's affairs? I said, I get up to the hospital. I'm hearing her name everywhere. Robin this, Robin that. I said, oh, wait a minute. I said, then the other side came out. I said, that's my cousin. That's not my father's child. She has no right. I said, you don't go through anything through anyone else other than his children. So I had to get that established. Even when I got over to hospice, it was the same thing. I look, let me see how far am I? Okay, 29 minutes. I'm gonna try to sum this up quick. And I said, your daughter had no right. She has no right going up there saying, they had even said, oh, he tell his children that he's going to be go to this funeral home and don't mess with anything. Don't mess this up. I was like, what? I said, what do you mean? Well, we had a bear. I said, no, 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 there is no we. He has children once again. You have no right. When I tell you, when my father got sick, and I'm not going to say everything that happened, I never in my life thought that I would have went through. None of us thought that we would have went through what we did. They had even went up to the hospice, called the social worker, and it was a messy social worker. And she said, told my father, your girlfriend has been stealing money from your account, which was a bold faced lie. Come to find out, it was the aunt, one of my aunts. And then I found out that she stole over $10,000 from his account. And Social Security, veterans and the bank got together and they were trying to prosecute her. But my father would not. He said no. She was too old to go to jail. I said, Dad, she ain't going to jail. They were just going to give her. I had no idea because my father wouldn't allow me over his. He said, I got it. I got it. I got this. I'm saying, Dad, you are 80 something years old. He wasn't 88 at the time. I'm like, I want to make sure that everything is in order. And he said he knew that money was missing, but when you get to a certain age, what I also learned is all of us will have we might have slight dementia. Slight dementia. It might be, yes, over 10,000. It might be like a tad bit. Like my mother has in full blown dementia, but my father had his was like beginning. He wasn't forgetting, like leaving the stove on for stuff, or he wasn't leaving the stove on or anything. Like he would write a check. He would pay his rent on time. He would pay his bills on time. But he was just used to money. He was like, "It's there. It's okay. I don't have to check this. I don't have to check that." I'm like, "Dad, you don't even use your iPad." He's like, "I don't need to use it. I got this. I got this." And he didn't have, he didn't. But he just, and I understand he didn't want me to worry. It's like UTC with your mom. You know, your mom is like, I got it. I got it. And you like, Ma, let me help you. I'm gonna help you. But my dad was so stubborn. He was like, but he did allow how I found out that she was stealing. His girlfriend said, I'm just gonna say, sweetheart, something is not right. Something isn't right. And he was like, well, she just said, I just feel like something isn't right. And so they looked through his account, and that's how they found out. And the bank is the one that went back because, come to find out, my aunt Mary Lou, yes, I'm saying their names, um, had a debit. She had two debit cards. Get this. No, it was three. My dad, her, and her husband. Now, this is the one that was the nurse. Mind you, she was um she was a nurse that had a habit, because back in the day, nurses used to back then they used to have a lock and key. If you know any nurses, if you have nurses in your family that even was from the 80s and the 90s, they did things through lock and key in the hospitals, and you could only get them if you had that key. My aunt was a full-blown nurse and an addict at the same time. So I get back after I'm bombed my other aunt out and her daughter and them. I get back, and maybe I'm like, they're calling and I'm talking to them, and her daughter is still going up there. And so I go back up there. But when I go up there, I'm like, why is it that you all aren't respecting his family's wishes and to keep them out of his business? You know, the social worker was messy. She was doing nothing but keeping drama between I'm like, why are you carrying bones from them to his girlfriend? I said, but it's funny you won't call me or my siblings with it. I was like, you just messy. You messy. So I I used my previous law enforcement powers and I went up to the police station and I said, you know what? Then I found out that they had my father sign something. And my father's, that's when the cancer had affected his eyesight. He could only see shadows, he could not see. And so, um, he told me that somebody came in his room and made him sign something. I found out it was them. I went to the police, and when I went back up there, and see, that's why it don't pay to mess with somebody that was previous law enforcement like me, because I know everybody. And the gentleman that I just so happened to talk to, he was um a Loudoun County, Virginia firefighter. So it's like I'm just meeting people. And when they find out who I am and I show my credentials, it's like it makes it so much easier. So I got a report done. They stayed away. Now, the aunt that was stealing money out of his account, why did she up? She went up when he was, remember, when he was in Cleveland Medical Hospital on a cancer ward, she came up there to see him. Why did she come to find out have COVID? My cousin Robin was there and said, you shouldn't be here. You're still sick. I found all of this out later when I got back. She said, I'm fine. I'm fine. When I found out that happened, his my dad's girlfriend called me and said I wasn't feeling well. And I went to, they have a nurse. Each building has like two or three nurses 24 hours, and they come to their apartments. She tested her, she had um COVID. I came home, I had a splitting headache, I wasn't feeling well. As soon as I swabbed my nose and I put it in a thing, I literally didn't even get to close it. Seconds, maybe 3 seconds, it lit up pink. It was solid pink. And I was like, I got COVID. So I was going back up there the next week to change this power of attorney around. Remember, I told you power of attorney to where it should be. I could not go. So I depended on, I asked two of my siblings to go up there. They went up there and he wasn't going to give it to him. You're not going outside. If y'all know Zeus, the dog, he's in my room. No, you're not going out. So I couldn't go back up there. They went up there. He wouldn't give it to them. And so I called him. I said, look, Dad, I said, and we talked, and I said, this needs to be done right. I said, so that your wishes can be respected. Now, mind you, I was up there when I first went up there when it first happened. I have recordings. Oh God, each one might be 30, 40 minutes. And I did it like 3 times of him, my dad, and his girlfriend. And I asked him, what do you want? And he always said he wanted to be cremated. He said, I don't want to go to a funeral home. He said, I don't want to be in a casket because a lot of people are like, I don't want to be looked down upon. I don't want anybody looking at me. I don't want to go in the ground. I don't want that. I want my ashes to be sprinkled in the forest. That is what he said. And my aunts and them were trying to do the opposite. And I had to tell them, I said, he's a vet. We don't need your help. I had already, when I tell you, when that following day I had already called no, when I first found out that he had a terminal, when he had cancer, I thought it was just prostate. And when I later found out it was terminal, I got on the phone that day and I called, and I talked to veterans and I got the paperwork. I'm like, look, he has terminal cancer. They told me what he had to do. So we were already getting things done. So I couldn't go back up there after I talked to him. He finally said, okay, I will sign it over to my my brother. and which he did. Now, I don't, that's another story. Family is just, I just wish that I had stayed and gotten it done. And, but come to find out I had COVID. So I'm glad I caught COVID because I sat exactly, I touched everything that my aunt had. When I got back, maybe in December, I found out that the aunt that had COVID, she died. The one that stole the $10,000. So vengeance is mine, said the Lord. Okay. And I'll just say that you don't even have to wish anything on people. When people think that they've gotten away with things, and then that's the same one that called the social worker, said and tried to put it off on his girlfriend. And I'm like, you know, I know you did it because the debit card goes back to you, dummy. It went right back to her. So it's like you still, even before you died, you just couldn't be a woman and admit that you did it. But it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. So I put a post up on, I do not, by the way, I don't post like Facebook. I think Facebook is so messy at times. So I don't post like really personal stuff up there. But we have a family page. So I posted in there asking for prayers. Two of my cousins came up there, and they were throwing jabs at me. And all I'm going to say is if any of you know me, and some of you do, you know that I can be the, oh God, my mouth can just be vicious. And all I'm gonna say, they learn the hard way. Because once again, it, I'm like a stray cat at times. I just start scratching. Okay, I'm scratching. Okay, so after that, we get power of attorney, we get control back of everything. We're making sure his rent in his apartment is paid. I really wanted him to do hospice at home because I know that he would have been much more comfortable at home. He just wasn't happy, and I wouldn't be either if I know where I am. It's like you're constantly reminded of hospice. You're in the building that you're going to die. And then another social worker came to him and said, he asked a question and she said, well, you do know you're going to die. It's like, I just couldn't believe what he was, I mean, just what I was hearing. And so I couldn't go up there for 2 weeks. And so I'm battling from here, calling up there, my brother, my sister, well, really, it's my brother, but, I wasn't having it. I was like holding everybody accountable, and it's just sad that toward the end, that's when things started coming together. They started quote unquote getting it together. But um I was said to me that I should have never had power of attorney taken away from the brother that he just met. And I had to tell them, fuck you. Fuck all of y'all. I don't care what you think. You're the reason why he did that. You put him in the middle of something he had no business doing. He didn't know the history. He didn't know how greedy you all were. He didn't know what you all were up to. So, right there, I was like, okay, I don't care what you think. It is what it is. So, after that, we got everything in control. Uh, it just, when someone is slowly passing away, it's never easy. It was tension between us, with them, and it was just a lot. It was just a lot. Money was stolen out of his account even while he was sick. And I'm just going to say again, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. And it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, So that happened. And then June the 11th, he passes away at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I got a call, and it just, it was over. It was over. You know, I didn't want him to suffer. You never, ever want anyone to suffer. I don't care. It could be an enemy. You don't want anyone to suffer like that. I didn't even want my aunt, the one that stole from him, to suffer. You know, I mean, he had a double whammy, prostate and liver cancer. So it was a lot. So I had already cut it. Okay, in June, if y'all remember, I had braids. I let my hair grow out from 2020. I went natural when I retired up until last year. My hair grew, I'm going to say, to my bra strap, but I've always wanted a bob. I cut it in a bob. Before I got my nasal surgery, I cut it off. I wanted to be short and ash blonde again, and I got just that. So when I found out that my dad, and mind you, I have thick, I call it Kunta Kinte hair. But when I found out, when I got up there, that he had terminal cancer, when I say my hair fell out, when I went live the other day, the what was that, yesterday, and I did that video. When I tell you, I was, oh my god, I my hair just fell out. It didn't fall out from the follicle. It just fell out. Just like not broke, like it broke all the way down. And I have some hair up top, but it was like the stress. And then I wasn't eating. Now, I had lost, before all of this had happened, I lost up until about November. I was doing good. I lost about 40 pounds. But then when my dad got sick, I've lost a total of 51 pounds. I am wearing a size 10 in certain clothes, 10 and a 12. And that's from the last time I saw TC. I saw TC and Miss T Velocity. TC came down for a conference with her job. Shout out to TC because she's so helpful. I love her. So she came down, and she I went to lunch with TC and Miss T Velocity, and we had a good old time. Mind you, I wasn't eating a lot then. Um, I was trying to stick to my diet, but when it came to the sweets, I couldn't take it. Now, it was hard, but I'm a sweet tooth person. But when I found out my dad passed, I've lost a total of 51 pounds. I didn't even realize I have circles under my eyes. My partner, he was like, your eyes are sinking in. He said, you need the weight loss. You gotta chill. I said, I didn't even know I wasn't eating. I could go days without eating. And it wasn't until he told me today about my eyes. He said, I knew you were going through something. I wanted you to heal. And I was just like, damn, I really, and I look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, you put some color corrector on and you put some concealer on top of that. I'm good. And then I literally took a good look in the mirror. I said, damn, you had to get all your hair cut off. Your eyes are sinking in. Your pants are too big. Come on. I literally had to, I had to tell myself, Oh God, girl, come on. So I'm working on it. I am working on it. But my dad, I love, oh God, I love my dad so much. I mean, how can you stop? I love both my parents, but it's something about girls and their dads. I love my dad. I don't care. I love all the spankings I got because I was a spoiled brat when I was a kid. I love my dad. So I miss him. It's hard to listen to his voicemails. I'm just not there yet. Um, I can't even look at the video. I'm not there yet. I love my dad and I'm just not there yet. I am trying my best to let him go, but when it's hard when you lose a parent. It is hard. And like I said, I didn't put it on Facebook or anything because I think that Facebook can be one of the messiest places. So um it's like I look at Facebook like I'm journaling, like a journal. Not everyone knew that my dad had passed because I didn't tell everyone. And that's just how I am. That's just how I am. Like I said, it's still a shock, but I'm at one part, I'm still in shock. The other part I've come to grips with. It's like 50-50. So, but I am working on it. Um, my eating is just, it's not there. I even went to the dermatologist. I went to the dermatologist yesterday and she looked at my hair and that's when she told me, she said, "Oh, I like your haircut." I was like, "What?" And I told her what was going on. So she looked in a magnifying glass in my hair. She was like, she was like, "You have like normal density." But she said, your follicles are still there. She said, she said, "This is stress. This is stress." So she said, "Your hair is dry." I didn't have dandruff, but she could see all this through the this little micro, this, so the little glass. So she told me what to do. She gave me a prescription. I didn't even know they can give you a prescribed oil for your hair. So no more concoctions for me. No more making stuff. I'm taking this right now. I'm taking a prescribed oil in a shampoo just to get my hair back to normal. But the eating, I'm working on it. If TC, if you saw me now, you'd be like, "You got to be kidding me." It's nothing but stress. And but I'm working on it. I haven't been like fully to the gym since I've been twice this year, but I haven't really been like I was going with the 40 pounds since like November. And now it's just stress weight coming off. But again, I'm working on it. But I just want to say, I love you, Dad. I know you're up there with Kim, and I will see you all again one day. Now I'm gonna stop that. It was a lot that I left out of that, but oh, I want to say this. If I know people like, "I have insurance, I have insurance." If you work for a private agency, the feds, or the local or your local government, make sure you get outside insurance. And let me tell you why. When you retire, um, if when you are with your job, they automatically give you insurance. Like with my job, I was there for 30 years. I automatically, you can up it up to like times, it's however much you make times two or three. Mine was up to about 300 something thousand. And but when you retire, it goes down, it depreciates. And guess what else? Every 10 years, it depreciates more and more and more. Now, while you're there, if something happens, you're good. It's just when you leave, but you're still paying a high premium. When you need to look into an insurance that covers, like the one I have now. um it covers when you get COVID. It's like any little sickness. It gives you like with, it's sort of like Aflac, but it's better than that. But this is life insurance. Make sure you have life and not term, because a lot of times with your job, your insurance is just, they call it life insurance because it is life insurance, but it's term. It only goes to a certain age. When you get your outside insurance, always make sure you get life. Life is life. A lot of times it goes to like who, because a lot of times people don't live to the age that my father was at. People don't live, a lot of times, as you see, people are passing away at like 70s, 60s, or 70s. And it's not many people that make it that far, not unless they're living healthy. My father, at 88 years old, even he didn't even know he had cancer. He was walking 5 miles a day. My father could hop a fence. He was just that active. That was just him. But make sure you have everything in place. Make sure you have your policy in place where people can get to it. Make sure when your children get older, if you have children, you say, look, this is for this is where everything is. Okay? If anything happens to me, this is where everything is. So it's no confusion. So you don't have um, siblings or other your siblings coming in your house looking through your stuff. Your kids should know where everything is. This is where it is. Because when it comes to your children, they're going to keep that. They're like, okay, this is mom or dad's, and I'm gonna protect this, you know, because they're the ones that are going to inherit it. Make sure they know where everything is. Make sure you have a living will in place. And it's something else I found out. I was talking to this lady the other day. Oh, it's in my phone. And I said I wanted people to know. And even if someone came in and saw this later on, hold up. She said you should have a, because I didn't know anything about it. Hold up. It's called a death slide. I don't know anything about a death slide, death, SLIDE, but it's worth looking into. It's so many things that you need to do. A living will, that is so important. Please, if you have a home, if you have a house, make sure you go through your policy with a fine tooth comb. Pay attention to wording and make sure you see that word life, not just life insurance at the top, because it's all of them say that insurance policy, but it says it in the clause. This is life insurance, even if it goes to a certain age. How much will it be after that? You need to know all of that because it could be you that's living to 88, 90 years old. My generation, I mean, I don't know if we are, but I know my dad was 88 and my mom is in her 80s. So there is a strong possibility that your parents can, we may not, we may or may not. It depends on your genes. Maybe it depends on your genes and if you're healthy enough, but make sure you look into that. Okay, that is very important. Now, let me get to weight loss. What I did. So, I hope that someone comes back and I hope that this is helpful. Like I said, I started my journey in July. By July, August, September, October, November, 5 months, I lost 40 pounds. Now, the first month, it wasn't that much, but the second month and on, it was just coming off like that. I would wake up in the morning. I would do either a protein shake. I would get something low in sugar. I did it's called Sun Warrior Protein. I still did that with almond milk. So I did Sun Warrior Protein, almond milk. I might throw some. The berries are good for you, so I would might throw some blueberries or strawberries in there. I would do a scoop and a half of that to like maybe 16 ounces of almond milk, and I would drink that, and that would last me to lunch. I might have, if I got a Chick-fil-A salad, I got the market salad. I didn't get the Cobb salad. I got market with the grilled chicken because I like it. And I did not shy away and not put the granola on. I did put it on. So I would do keto with carbs sprinkled in here and there. Let's say it like that. But if I did it at home, some romaine lettuce, buy some fresh romaine. I didn't buy it in a bag. I can't stand bag lettuce. I would rinse it, chop it up with some green leaf lettuce. I would put red onions. I would put this different vegetables in that I like. Um, Maybe some grilled chicken thighs or breast or whatever. And if I wanted croutons, I put croutons, but I ate a salad every day. Yes, I did. For dinner, I would have like you can buy these plates on Amazon that actually have written on the plate. They're expensive. I would only get one, but how much protein is you put it's gonna go on this side, how many carbs on this side, and how much is on that. I would fill mine up with vegetables in both trays, and that protein I would put in there, and that's how I knew how much protein I had. And I would put it on my salad. I ate full fat dressing. I did not skip on the dressing. I didn't do fat free anything. But the number one thing that I did do is I stopped drinking soda. Soda was my problem. I could drink a Coca-Cola with loaded with ice each and every day. And I had to stop that. And I did stop. That is what really knocked my weight off, and me adding more vegetables to my diet. Um, if you want to know more, I can go more into it, but I'm at my hour. I'm about to get off. Um, Whoever listens to this, story time was, I know it wasn't what you were expecting, but I didn't even go into half of it. That's the crazy thing. I just summed it up. But just make sure you let people know, people that are close to you, even if it's a best friend. Look, this is what you need to do. You need to do XYZ and ZYX. Make sure you take care of that. Other than that, if you need to know anything about what I did as far as my diet, I'll do a separate live. Now, that will be a quick live, and I'll show you everything that I got in the brands that I got. Um, Yeah, I don't mind doing that. Even the dressing, down to the dressing. If you were on this journey going low in fat, that low fat, this and that's not gonna do it. It ain't gonna do it. If you're gonna do it right. If you're gonna have a salad, you can put full fat dressing on, just not as much. You just need enough just to cover the leaf. You don't want to drown it in there. You don't want to drown it in cheese. I would do Parmesan cheese. But anyway, like I said, if you all want me to let you know what I did, um, I will. And I'll even take a picture. I'll take a picture and post it. Yeah, I'll take a picture and post it. But I love you all. Have a great night. Mwah. And TC, I'm gonna fix that. Just give me a moment. I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure it out. Wait a minute. Star delete. I don't know how to do this. I thought I could just press on your name and it would do it that way, but I don't think it's. Hold up. Oh, hush, this. I'm trying to figure this out before I go. Can't figure it out. This is crazy. All right. Other than that, I'm going to say good night.